I love her ideas and I love her creativity and I love her passion more than anything else. She's extremely passionate about her industry.
She's so humble and she's empowering and encouraging.
Success is such an individual thing, really. Understand who you are and plumb down and actually say, are you living your truth? And I think as I'm approaching 40, as I like to say, turning 20 twice, right, I've got a different perspective on the world, and I really think to actually look at what it is that makes you tick and who it is that you really are, I think would define how successful you really are, because for every individual, I think that has to be unique.
Something that I can't explain.
The truth is, my mother was a big influence in tea, so I always used to watch how my mother and her friends used to connect over a cup of tea. And in fact, my generation weren't doing that. So it was actually, I think, this contrast between the fact that my generation were out there drinking cappuccinos and the fact that my mother and her friends really enjoyed a cup of tea and would sit and have deep conversations over tea. And nothing happened until that pot arrived and they had that cup of tea and connected. So I think for me, just watching this and actually observing, I thought, wow, I mean, obviously I used to drink tea and it was around, but my mother was the big sort of switch on tea in my life, watching her and just observing. So for me, I think there was the backstory on how I got into tea. Besides looking at it as a passion, I'd come from an advertising and strategic background. I thought I actually have to learn about tea. So I went on a mission to study tea and find out about traditional processing methodology and bring that back to South Africa and share it with everybody to have a great cup of tea that offers an experience. So my name is Toni Glass and I'm the MD and founder of the Toni Glass Collection. I thought about the name all on my own. If you take a look around over here, this is the lovely head office of the Toni Glass Collection and home of the full leaf tea. So if you come over here and join me, I'm going to introduce you to Sibusiso, who is our lovely head of iced tea production. In the back over here, so first of all, say hello to Sibusiso. Hello, Sibu.
Hi.
Good, how are you doing?
All right.
Good. So this is Sibusiso, and his role is to basically just make sure that our iced tea happens, is as delicious as it possibly can. So if you look behind us, as I mentioned, would love to take you in on that side, but it's so important, I think, as an entrepreneur to always keep in mind that obviously certain things are kept behind the curtain, which I think is always important to remember, and at the end of the day, there's always that special magic that makes somebody who they are, right? So that's all happening backstage. The other part of it is from a sanitation point of view, very interesting to just know that everything is completely sterile from that curtain onwards. So join us on this side as we head to the hot tea side. This is Rejoice, our very, very first employee, and she heads up the whole hot tea division, all our receiving, all our dispatch work, and this is Rejoice. Started this and I was still sort of in a media business, and at the same time I started sort of dabbling and playing and traveling and learning about tea. And then what I did was I created this product. So once I was blending and creating and I had the ability to put the packaging together, I was now in a 2-bedroom flat, which was fabulous. I was actually in a situation where I had Rejoice was with me, she was my domestic worker, and suddenly I was out there selling tea. And people were now suddenly quite interested in my tea, and I was quite excited with them. And so I went till eventually I had to pick a lane between media and tea. And I decided this is the world and this is what I need to be doing. So I shifted completely. And eventually I was the person initially who would go out, and I was the driver, and I would actually go out and find the next client. I was doing literally everything. I think my husband would literally print an invoice for me, but short of that, I was the packer, the driver. I literally did everything from blending to making to product design, etc. Husband was an amazing sounding board and has been there along this entire process. So I always say we. People often say, who's we? I say my husband. He's really part of this process. And Rejoice was then sort of part of this as well. So as I got busier and busier, and I was like running and doing and seeing the next client, going door to door, Rejoice, I would phone Rejoice and say, Rejoice, I've got an order coming in. Initially it was one a week. I'd say, there's a big order coming in, please get it ready for me, and it was like one order.
First and this is the second one.
Sorry, this one's the first, eh?
Yes.
First, today you did this one, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this one you did, right. And this one you did today.
Yes.
Cool. This one I just want to taste. Okay. So what's the thing? Do you think it tastes good? What are your thoughts?
I think we need to add a little bit of the ginkgo. How is
I think
it?
a bit more ginkgo in the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, I'll tell you now. Just give me one more sip, hold on one sec. Yeah, I'm tasting a little bit of the citrus. I feel the ginkgo, but I think we could maybe boost it a little
What
bit
about the
more.
lemongrass? Is it?
I used to do karate growing up, right, which is quite interesting. I know you're looking at me now and thinking, how on earth did I do karate? But I did. And the mad thing is, if you actually understand the mindset of, I think, an athlete, right, you've got a goal, you set your target on something. And I actually remember so clearly as a young girl going to choose my medal before the competition. And my mother used to say to me, how on earth can you actually choose your medal before the competition? You might be disappointed. So I said, well, if I don't choose the medal, then I'm certainly going to be disappointed. Hello, Reese. How you doing? Good. Just a quickie. I'm sitting in the tea room at the moment. Where are you? Okay, great. You want to just pop past? I just want to chat to you about some tonic stuff quickly, if you've got a gap. Wonderful. Okay, great. I'll see you now. Cheers. Bye.
How are you, Tones?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Some more. Come sit.
How's
How
it?
you doing? Great.
Good.
I'm glad you were still here.
Good day. Busy day.
Absolutely.
What's up?
Great. So what I wanted to say was, obviously tonics here.
Yes. Very excited.
Breton. Very
Thank
exciting. We need to actually.
Oh my
obviously
God,
get our
can you see
head
it?
really
Hold on.
I know it's actually great. Nice to have
I mean,
it in
it's
your
nice to actually
hand.
finally see it.
I know, it's fantastic to hold, fantastic to see. Now, what we obviously need to give a little bit more thought to is very exciting that we've obviously got this here. But
Oh my gosh.
for regions and stuff like that, I think we needed to start giving a little bit of thought to exactly how we can push
Okay.
that.
I've done quite a bit of work on what we should do around just getting the product to market.
Right.
And focusing on our existing channels, as we discussed, is definitely a primary. Online, our distributors, and then food services, the hundreds of
Right.
independents out there that love our teas.
Okay,
I think
perfect.
are certainly going to love our tonics.
Right.
And then the tactics we discussed. Don't know if
Perfect.
you have anything new that you want to add to
So maybe
discuss
we can
the
sit
strategy.
next week and
Perfect.
just like work through some proper timelines
taste?
on when. Absolutely, you can. Please do. Let me
Oh,
know.
it smells amazing.
Nice, eh? Great. So, Reese, another thing I'd like to just give some thought to is obviously with the activations that we're obviously going to
Yeah.
push on the ground. I think what could be really fantastic is obviously working with, Julian from
Julian.
Sins and Taxes.
I think
So
it's a great idea.
I just think really, I think Julian's amazing. And like if we had to like run some sort of activation there, have him sort of presented, whether it's on a, one of his like popular
Oh
evenings
God! I
where
mean,
he just gives some nice
he's pretty
tastings.
phenomenal, and that space is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is tonic. It's a mixer.
Absolutely.
For him, I think he would do his mind with
Let's
it.
just show people, what it tastes like with a quality gin.
Why not? Nothing about us is ever ordinary. I'm certainly up for the challenge. It's tonic water by Toni Glass. From a marketing perspective, I mean, I couldn't ask for more. We're this incredible brand, so definitely why not? Let's take tonic to market.
There's always how do I choose the people that work with me? I think a large part of it, obviously you've got your normal recruitment standards, but there's a big sort of X factor component that I always call, are they tea-ish? And the only way I can describe that is, are they aligned with sort of what tea stands for? And if they don't have that energy and that passion for tea as a product, they're certainly not for us. So I've often had people coming for job interviews and I'll say, by the way, do you drink tea? And I've actually had one guy turn around and say to me once, I'm not against it. So I'm certainly never going to look at somebody like that as a candidate. And I've also asked other people the question, if you were selling peanut butter or shoelaces, would it make a difference? And the answer is often no. So clearly people who have a tea mindset, who are actually passionate about the product, and also hopefully the people who are also aligned with our greater purpose. So I think mentorship's so important to me because I think the concept of giving back is really important. You know, so often you're on your own journey and you're so busy doing that you never stop to think about the next crowd trying to do something. So currently I'm mentoring a guy by the name of Rob Crawford, who's actually a second-year Vega design student, fabulous guy. And again, I'm always looking, because I'm passionate about uplifting people, but also I love design and innovation. I'm currently still involved with sort of Vega as a brand school, and I thought if we can work with one of their students would be incredible. So last year I came across a guy who's a fabulous talent, and I've just enjoyed so much working with this guy because he's got so much enthusiasm. He's not like jaded by industry. He's just coming with fresh ideas. He's so excited to be working with somebody in industry, and I've actually really enjoyed working with him. So he's one of my mentees at the moment.
I've learned so much from Toni in the short space of time that I've worked with her. More than anything, she's really inspirational in the way that she runs her brand. Seriously, fantastic in so many ways, and she's constantly coming up with new innovative ideas. It's just great to be in her space.
The reason we wanted to go into t-shirts is we think about everything with tea. So we just thought it was such a natural fit to actually have t-shirts, because they were always called t-shirts, but not as in tea. So we thought t-shirts would be fabulous. And again, to just bring in a beautiful creative element, have certain people wearing t-shirts. And why not, from a gifting perspective, have a nice t-shirt combination with some beautiful gifting elements, I think is an absolute no-brainer.
Could be a different aspect.
Hey Tony, I brought you guys some tonic water and coffee.
Great, thank you. This you haven't seen that. That's our new tonic that you've seen, right? Haven't seen?
Fantastic.
Now you've seen it. Klaus, what do I want to say? So how does this work here?
Okay, so what I've done is I've used your citrus tonic water with a bit of my coffee.
Right.
So I've got a special coffee from Ethiopia,
Right.
and that goes really, really, really well with it. So the two citrusy flavors and notes, they work really well together. Well, you always have to come up with new concepts and ideas. It's why me and Toni, we work well as a team as well. So you have to always have new things to bring in people.
So basically over here we're just like expecting a whole shipment of tonic. So this is basically going nationwide. So we're really excited about this. As you can see, it's a massive truck that's just arrived, waiting here in the middle of the night for this truck, and thrilled that we can actually get it going now. So yeah, I mean, listen, being an entrepreneur, I think you often work late nights. This particular evening is quite an exciting one because we're going nationwide with tonics, and this is our first delivery to our facility. So this is a good night. You can never ask an entrepreneur if it's going to work, right? We always think it's going to work, right? So as I sit here today, I feel it's going to work, right? So I mean, I've invested time, energy, effort, everything. You know, as an entrepreneur, I think you put everything. You got skin in the game. I think you really give it your all. So I think to ever allow sort of that negativity to come in, and not that it's negative, it's real, but you get it from so many other people. And I think part of being an entrepreneur is holding on so tightly to that dream and never allowing anybody else to sway you off course, because it's very easy to be swayed. And I think one of the things I've gained along the way is you have to have absolute focus. And if you're not focused and follow other people's sort of paths, you're going to be off your path. And I think part of that is actually knowing where you want to be. Again, it's like that medal. Where do you want to be? How are you going to get there? And even if there are different steps along the way, it doesn't mean you're not going to get there. You might get there differently, but you are going to get there. I'd say the biggest challenge was probably, I had a car accident when I was in my 20s. So I was quite athletic, and I used to train. I actually used to compete overseas in karate, and I was quite into a lot of that sport. And I had a car accident, and it actually hurt my left arm and my neck. So you basically, nobody likes being told that there's certain things you can't do. So I've got 3 discs in my neck that are damaged, and a left arm that's fine, but at one stage I had 30% use of this left arm. So literally, you suddenly look at this, and you don't even realize at the time, because I didn't realize I had an issue with my arm until a bit later on. And slowly but surely, there are a lot of changes to your day-to-day that you have to be, cognizant of your injury. Even now, if I talk to you straight ahead, I'm fine, but if I had to look to the left for too long, my neck would get sore. So there's certain adjustments to your day-to-day. But I think when you step back and look at it, yes, there are always going to be frustrations around your injury, but it's almost like, why did this happen, and why was I shifted sideways, and what can I do with that? Because you can either sit there wallowing and saying, okay, well, now I have an injury and I can't do this and I can't do that, or you could channel it to positive use and say, right, well, what can I be doing then with my time, and how can I use what I've gained along my journey being an athlete, how can I use that, to benefit others? So I think in life, if you can find, as I say, what makes you tick, I think you've accomplished something. So I would say that's one of them. I think a big thing from a work perspective was about 3 years ago in Los Angeles, we were selected as one of the 4 top global trendsetters in tea. And I think what that really shows one, so I would say that was quite an accomplishment from a work point of view, because you realize that in South Africa, making your difference, you can truly impact the world. So when I say to you, our vision is to become the largest gourmet tea player globally, I know it's possible, and I really feel from a South African point of view, we bring such beautiful culture and infuse that into what we do so naturally, that I think just more people should be creating and offering what our beautiful continent has to offer. Everybody, thanks for joining us today. It's really an exciting day today. So let me introduce myself. My name's Toni Glass, and I started a tea collection called the Toni Glass Collection, right? We're known for all our full leaf gourmet teas, and what we do is we've known for silken tea bags, we're known for all the classic teas that are out there, and so we have been for the last 8 years sort of known in South Africa and beyond for these teas. So what we're doing today is we're actually stretching things a little bit further, right? So we're all about taking tradition and pushing it into a contemporary space. So what we're doing today here with Julian is we're actually going to taste some really exciting cocktails, okay, using a combination of a lot of our botanicals and our raw ingredients, and actually infused with his divine knowledge as well, just pushing it into a cocktail experience for you guys to taste. So we want to hear your feedback, I want to hear your thoughts, and yeah, just be honest with us, give us some lovely fruitful advice, and that's why you're here, just a nice, beautiful, eclectic crowd, so thanks for joining. And then what we're also going to do is I'm going to throw in, there's a new range that we've launched called tonic. So we've got tonic waters that are actually also infused with botanicals. So the whole idea is taking that component and also marrying it with some really, really nice alcoholic stuff on the other side just to marry it, and actually creating a fantastic cocktail experience.
Next I'm going to add some fresh apple juice. This is also just some freshly squeezed apple juice, and this is just going to kind of bring out those more vegetal notes of the green tea itself. Then I'm going to add a few choice mint leaves. Okay. And it's a cocktail, so the base of the drink the base spirit I'm going to choose is a really good white tequila. It's got a lot of also power vegetal notes. It's quite grassy. So this whole drink is going to be just really nice and refreshing and kind of a proper summer cocktail. Like, it can be an acquired taste, and so a drink like this really helps it make it a bit more approachable. So I'm going to put a really nice big ice block in there. I'm going to find strain. The color is also, yeah, beautiful. It's green.
That's right. Come on, people. The ace is back. Yeah.
Guys, thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. Love the feedback, and can't thank you enough. So thank you. Jules, yeah, thanks and all. Take care. We'll definitely chat soon. Keep up your good work. Have a good weekend. Cheers.
So of course, like, I've seen the market itself, and everyone gets excited. At first they dismiss it and say, oh, it's just another tea, it's just another product. But right now, like, when you sit with people and they actually taste the product and see what's going on, they're blown away, and by the time you finish, they're like, okay, where do I sign?
So I'm actually quite excited. I think today went well. I mean, listen, if Julian and Sins and Taxes in the crowd here, I think it's good. I think it's a great test. I have no doubt it should do nicely in the marketplace. Got lots of interesting palettes here, lots of nice sort of experiences that came out of today. So I think by and large, I think we're really excited about what's to come. Look forward to the new year, and summer's here, and I just think onwards and upwards. So one of the things, as I mentioned to you earlier, my husband and I, we're different, but we think in a similar way, and we've always wanted to be giving back. And from a charity perspective, in fact, even when we met on our first night, one of the things that stood out to me was the fact that I always wanted to start a chain of charities. I didn't even know what that meant at that time, but I just had a vision and at some point wanted to do this. And he happened to mention this on our first date. And I was blown away because not one friend of mine has this as a vision. I'm not saying that I want to help and give back in many other ways, but I've never quite phrased it like that. So this is something that my husband and I have actually always sort of shared and really have wanted to work towards. So obviously starting the Toni Glass collection, I think one of the first things is obviously creating jobs. That's by no means a charity, but creating a job and using tea as a vehicle to do good work. So whatever that means in that next chapter, I'm finding that next medal to strive for. And I think that's certainly hoping to be aligned sort of with tea. So I'm working through the detail of exactly how that will be positioned. But it's certainly one of the next stages as we go, using tea as a vehicle, as we go to sort of help people out and actually create a system, which would basically be a chain of charities. I don't think, again, you so in the moment of pushing and doing that, I don't think you ever step back to say, wow, I think every now and again I try and take a photograph of where I am. A friend once said this to me, take like aerial shots of your life occasionally. So I try and do that, stand back and say, wow, I think, this is like real happiness, and I think that's quite an achievement when you look back and you say, wow, I think I'm in a space where I'm doing what I love, hopefully making a difference in the world, hopefully being a decent parent or spouse. And I think just holistically, I think if we get to that space and take that shot, I think we say, wow, that's quite a proud moment. But it's not one that we sit on for very long. We just pick up again and we're busy.